Hey there, hope you're doing well. I had a chat earlier, a very interesting chat with Jason Crum about the evolution of software development. We're going to do multiple podcasts on those. By the time you see this one, watch this one, or listen to this one, the other one should have published. Definitely check that one out so you get context to this conversation or this monologue. So we had the first of at least two conversations we plan to have on the topic of the evolution of software development. I want to I want to draw some diagrams during the podcast, but it's challenging for me to have a conversation with a guest, and while I'm doing that to draw, I've tried it. Sometimes it works out. Other times it's a little bit easier for me to do it after the podcast. So I'm going to try to see how it goes. I have these conversations with my guests, our guests at Snowpal. We have interesting conversations on a broad variety of topics, and then I want to see if when I find time, I want to take that and do these solo podcasts and sort of capture the essence, if you will, in my own words, with perhaps using some diagrams. Just an attempt, and we'll see how it goes. So without further ado, let me share my screen, and we're going to. Okay. Some of this, right? I'm going to remember what the conversation we had, and hopefully I do a decent job trying to capture the essence of it here. We talked about the evolution of software development in the last 2 decades or so. Many things have changed. The idea is there's more bullets that we have yet to have a conversation about, but the ones we covered are the ones I'm going to try and include in this diagram here, at least to the best of my memory from the conversation that we just had. So what has or has not changed? The first thing is the technology. You expect technology to change over a period of time as 2 decades, but in the world of software, more so in front end than back end, but regardless, techno in both sides, to be honest, but definitely a bit more on when you're building web apps and mobile apps, and from a user interface, technologies that relate to the front end of development change a bit more frequently, or a lot more frequently, than the server side systems from what I've seen. So technological changes. This tool has a bug where the text becomes small, so I'm just going to write it. Okay, technological changes. So one thing is it changes, but also we talked about the pace. The pace at which technology changes is it's only going to get, it's going to change ever so more frequently. Not that it's been slow over the years, but that's one thing to consider. So between how software was built 10, 15, 20 years ago and how it's being done now, there are new frameworks. It's not just JavaScript, even though JavaScript is one of those where things change all the time. But even otherwise, things change. So the sense of adaptability that we always need to have as anybody, as humans living on planet Earth, but scoped more. If I want to talk about just software and software engineers and developers, this is something it's something you need to embrace. It comes naturally to some of us and not so much to others, but regardless, you've got to embrace the change because it's inevitable, as simple as that. That's one thing that's dramatically different from the past, where the pace of these changes is a lot higher. Things change in shorter periods of time. The next item is the actual work style and the design patterns, if you will. Remote work, I'm going to call it work style. I'm just going to, again I have to take this work styles. And I'm going to call it remote work, but it's more than remote work. For instance, remote work, we've talked about remote work in other podcasts. I won't go into that one here. But what we kind of discussed was how, if you took the car, drove to work, worked a standard five days, 10 to 6, 9 to 5, whatever the 8 to 9 hour window is. That's one thing. But currently, whether you were doing it remotely or not, work happens at different periods of time, and we have something called core business hours. That used to not so much be the case then, and that brings its own set of sort of challenges, pros and cons. That's a fundamental aspect of building software, because you're building software with other people, other humans, even though machines are playing more and more, doing more and more of what we've done as humans in the past. It's still not exactly there yet because we still need humans, at least at the time of this recording, to get stuff done with the assistance of machines. But the work styles have actually changed. How you approach the problem, whether you're having these interactions remotely or when you go in person, whether it's hybrid, how frequently you meet your team members, what times of the days or days of the week you work, you collaborate. All of that has changed. That definitely has a significant impact on what it is that you're building in the first place. Third is attention spans with Instagram and everything else, and TikTok and 10, 30, 45, 60-second recordings. Attention spans have diminished for, as people. We seem to not be able to hold our attention for much longer. So shorter attention spans do make a big difference, because when you actually have these design discussions and meetings, it takes a while to get to the solutions. And I've seen that people sometimes become more and more these days. They just want to end the conversation, end the meeting, come back later, because it's just too long. But what is too long? Sometimes it does take time to solve complex problems. So that is also a change in the evolution of software development. That is also an item that's important that we talked about. Next is Jason had mentioned developer versus engineering mindset. That's a very important topic. I'm going to literally write it as the developer versus engineer mindset. You should check out the podcast for more details there. The other podcast, I mean. But essentially what this means is you cannot be myopic about the problems that you're solving. You're asked to build something and solve a problem. Sure. Maybe you have to build a new component, a UI React component. And you want to keep your focus because you have to get things done. But at the same time, when you approach a problem, you have to approach it as look for best ways to solving that problem, as opposed to how you've necessarily done it in the past, because that should play no role, not much of a role. Yeah, you learn, you have those learnings, you have them in memory. You understand the rights and wrongs, what worked, what didn't work. That's why you have retros and all those kinds of sprint ceremonies. But still, you have to ask yourself quickly, if it's an enhancement, it's one thing. If it's a feature, in other words, a new app, certainly. So how should I be doing this today? I'm solving this problem today. I don't want to be solving it like I did it yesterday or 6 months ago. Am I taking the current approach, what's accepted, adopted, and extensible, and it's what's going to stand the test of time from today? Is that what I'm resorting to, or am I doing something else that I probably might regret down the road? Now, things are going to always change. You're going to look at code and refactor and make improvements. Architecture changes. That's all understood. But you still have to put the best foot forward with the information that you have available to you today. So those were, let me think, technology changes, work styles, shorter attention spans, developer versus engineer mindset. And I think one more item is, how your passion and commitment go a long way in how good you're doing something. So I'm going to say passion plus, I have to pick the text here. Passion plus commitment. This is important for the longevity of whatever it is that you're doing. If you do it just because we all need to pay our bills, understood. But at some point, you're going to you're going to look towards fulfillment. It's just a matter of time, I think. All of us are blessed to be in a position where we can make some decisions. We have some choices and options to what we want to do. If you find yourself in that place of privilege and blessing, then you have to work towards finding that fulfillment. And that only happens, when you pick a career that you actually are going to enjoy, not just today, not just tomorrow. One that pays, sure, takes care of your expenses, but also, gets your heart throbbing and waking up in the morning because you want to actually cannot wait to get that stuff done. What is the next thing that you want to do? It's very important for the longevity of your career that you actually pick something that you truly, truly, truly enjoy. That I couldn't stress that anymore. We talked about probably a couple of more things, but this is what comes to my mind. There's more items we're going to discuss. So definitely check out that podcast, and after that you can, if you're watching this, definitely watch that one before. This is just a quick summary and my quick and dirty visual representation of what I think we had chatted about in that conversation. With that, I'm going to end this podcast or a video. No, this is not, we may or may not publish this as a podcast, but it's going to be on products.snowpal.com and other social media platforms that we actually publish our content to. That's about it. Check out our products, subscribe to our APIs, build solutions quicker, faster, go to market sooner, mitigate your risks by leveraging and integrating our APIs on AWS Marketplace. And we have multiple licensing models that we support. So pick the one that works best for you, and best wishes for your success. Thank you.